I will call the board meeting to order. Would the clerk take the roll, please?
District 1, Barbara McQuinn. Here. District 2, Chuck Shaw. District 3, Karen Brill. Here. District 4, Erica Whitfield. Here. District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson.
Here.
All right, we have quorum. The record should reflect also joining us on the dais is Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, General Counsel Julianne Rico, and Inspector General Lung Chu. We have a special guest with us today. The daughter of Angela Santa Cruz, one of our wonderful board office secretaries, is here with us, Jonelle Brinkley.
All right.
Would you stand up? Thank you for coming.
She's our only other member.
All of you have heard the terrible news, so our hearts go out to the families and employees involved in the bus accident this morning where a student lost her life. The school district family grieves with and for all those involved, and I ask for a moment of silence to honor the student families and employees. Thank you. I'd like to remind all who will be speaking today that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so the transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Superintendent.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, board members, the reason I needed to call this meeting is we wanted to get the advertising started as soon as possible with Ray and Associates, but one of the items that they wanted to use in the advertisement is the job description and a salary range, and I didn't feel that that I had the authority to authorize the current job description and salary range to be published without the board weighing in on that, so I called this special meeting so we could handle that and also any other issues that were still not done, and that's on that succession planning board worksheet 4, 5, and 6 that we'll finish up today so that we can get everything ready for the hiring of the new Inspector General. Mr. Superintendent, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just, since we have the meeting, just happy holidays to everyone, and that's all. Thank you.
All right, we need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Mr. Shaw, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? All in favor, all opposed, motion carries 7-0. We have any agenda item speakers? No. All right, so the first item is I recommend the board discuss and take needed action regarding the steps necessary to implement the recruitment and search for the new Inspector General. Mr. Rico, do we need a motion for that or just take each item 4, 5, and 6 individually?
I think you should move to put the general issue on the table, and then there are steps
Okay.
that are attached to have the board consider, and they can make motions accordingly.
Okay, can we have a motion? Motion by Mrs. McQuinn, seconded by Ms. Brill. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So the first item then is the option, is for job description salary range. So one of the suggestions from Ray and Associates was that we don't publish. The current range was 118 to 247 up to 196, 965, because whoever sees that is going to think that they qualify for 196, 965, I'm sure. So they had thrown out like in the range of 155 as a suggested item to be put on the advertisement. And so the clerk, as Mrs. Bass has added for you, if you take a look, the job description is there, and the salary range is also attached, as well as what the inspector generals around the state make. As a point of information, Mr. Chu currently makes $179,644, but that's after 7 years. He started at $135, 7 or 8 years ago. So he's worked his way up, and as you can see, if you look at the salary range, it's attached. Many of the inspector generals around the state who have organizations our size or larger, actually around the country, are above that 155 number. So that's the first item we need is, item we need to do is confirm the job description, and then we'll deal with the salary range after that. So if somebody wants to make any motions with respect to the job description that's attached, Mr. Shaw.
I move we take option number 1, confirm the current job description.
Turn your microphone on. Is your microphone on? Motion by Mr. Shaw to take option 1, confirm the current job description, was seconded by Dr. Robinson. Discussion? All in favor? Ms. McQuinn, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm hearing, I think from Mr. Shaw, to keep the job description as it is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the other thing, my question then is, that includes the auditor position, correct?
Yes.
And that was going to initially be my question anyway. In terms of the salary range, are the ones that we were given for other IGs, do they also perform the auditor function?
I'm not sure.
Not yet.
Superintendent, can your staff?
Yes.
Don't have exact data on that, but my notion is some do and some don't. But I don't have
remember
exact data for you.
Mr. Chu telling me early on, when I came onto the board, that it was a common model throughout the United States. So,
Ms. Brew?
Thank you. I thought we were not talking about the salary yet. Are we just doing the...
Oh, no, just, in fact,
just
the
the
current
job
job description that was initially on your agenda had, after S12, it had the range 118 up to 196. I asked them to take that off the agenda so anybody that's looking at it, any applicants wouldn't see that. Of course, anybody who looks back at this meeting, which maybe they will, maybe they won't, will see what the range is, but that will be taken off of the salary range unless the board feels otherwise. So we're just looking at the qualifications, performance, responsibilities, and additional job functions that are currently listed there. Mrs. Andrews?
I was looking at number 2, and when we first started with the IG here at Palm Beach County, we knew we had to get the certification for our Inspector General, and we kind of had this where they had time to get it. I worry about bringing somebody on that really has not had that certification. That's a concern for me.
So are you suggesting we remove item 4, or item 2?
I would like for us to look at people who have the certification.
That was actually a similar hesitancy that I had, so thank you. I would love to see that as well.
Ms. Brew?
So then the motion would be, do we need a motion or amendment to
We need an
this?
amendment to Mr. Shaw's motion.
I would like to amend the motion so that number 2 shall read that the Inspector General shall hold a current certification as a certified Inspector General, that the Inspector General applicant shall hold a current certification as a certified Inspector General.
All right, and Mrs. Andrews seconded that. Any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0, which takes us back to the main motion. Any further discussion on anything else you want to change? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So, Dr. LaCava and Mr. Mitchell, you have that one change that we're going to be making to the, okay. So the next item would be the salary range. So again, Ray and Associates had suggested that we throw out the number in the range of 155, which is like halfway in the range of 118 to 196. Ms. Brill?
So I'm guessing the range then that you're giving us is the range that we had originally on the job description. I'm just a little worried that if we're putting a solid number that we not be too low. So, because I'm looking at the other salaries here that are on the sheet, so I don't know if we should go 165 versus 155, since they're going to be the auditor also. I think that we're asking for a lot for that amount of money.
Other discussion? Ms. Whitfield?
Just so I'm clear, we're no longer doing a range at all. We're just going to do one number. I like
That's what the board would
165.
like. That's what Ray and Associates suggested. We remove that range off of the,
So if they come in at
Posting only.
165, knowing that we're putting 165, they would still probably negotiate with us, is my guess,
right.
at that point. I think that's a great starting.
so you want to make a
So
motion?
then I will amend the motion so that the starting salary shall be 165,000.
Okay. We have a second on Ms. Brill's motion. Motion seconded by Ms. Whitfield. Any further discussion? Dr. Robinson?
I just need clarification. So we're going to advertise 165, but then we would negotiate. Is that what?
It's going to
that's what
say
we're saying?
in the range of, that Ray and Associates suggested we put some number in a range, without a range, just to throw out a number that, they said it's easier to negotiate up than negotiate down. So if somebody wants to apply and says their requirements are they make 180, then we would have to negotiate that. So it's up to you all. I'm just telling you what Ray and Associates suggested. We use a single number somewhere in the middle.
We didn't do that with the superintendent, did we?
I don't believe so. No.
I mean, it's just confusing to me. It's either we say it's 165 or it's not 165. In my world, I mean, I'll go with the majority, but it's confusing to me.
Ms. McQuinn, then Ms. Whitfield.
I am more comfortable with us establishing a range. I understand that things are negotiated, as we did with the superintendent's contract, but I like a range.
Okay.
I was actually just going to say maybe we could ask Dr. Fenoy, who hasn't been so long since he went through this, what he would prefer as an applicant. What meant something to you?
He said he just wanted to be a spectator today, but I knew we'd draw him into this.
There's no way we're not letting him talk.
All right, so the only opinion that I have, now as a superintendent, I think a range makes sense, considering then you can negotiate that, which you will do anyway.
Mr. Barbieri?
But I would defer to Mark Mitchell, actually.
Dr. McConnell?
We were just talking, what about a minimum of 155 and maximum of 196,965?
That's a range.
That's a range.
That's a range. You guys want a range, we're giving you one.
May I follow up?
Dr. Robinson?
So I don't have any objection to those numbers. I'm just got stuck on a number and then negotiating, because I just think that's like bad precedent to say this is what it is, and then later we change our mind. It just doesn't
Fine.
work for me.
It's just what Ray and Associates suggested. That's why I didn't want to make that decision on your behalf. That's why it's back here today. What was the number again you suggested?
Minimum of 155 and then maximum of 196,965.
Which is the max of the
Which is the
range for the
maximum
job.
range.
So
All right, so Ms. Bro,
people
you
will
made a
figure that out.
motion.
I'm going to withdraw my motion.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion accepting the suggestion from Dr. LaCava? Dr. Robinson?
So move.
Have a second? Second by Ms. Whitfield. Any further discussion? Ms. Brill?
I'm just thinking that the higher range is high. I'm thinking maybe it should be 155 to 185, something like that. I just feel that that's 196, whatever is just a bit high.
Mrs. Andrews?
Since it's a range, it truly is a range, and we can decide when we look at the qualifications and the talents of the people that we'll be seeing, then we'll know exactly which way to go. So it gives us some room.
Ms. McQuinn?
I agree with Ms. Andrews, and I guess back to Dr. LaCava. I want to attract as many people as we can, so.
Okay, so Ms. Brill, you want to withdraw your motion again?
Well, I didn't make a motion for that, so,
Who made that motion? Oh, Dr. Okay,
and I'm actually going to agree, thank you.
okay. So Dr. Robinson, your motion was exactly what Mr. Mitchell said, 150, or Dr. LaCava, 155, 196, 965. Okay. And there was a second on that.
Yes, Erica seconded.
What'd you say, Dr. Robinson?
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents. No, don't put that in there. We're just,
Modified.
is there any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So now we're back to the original motion with those two changes, which are the salary range has been added and the job description was changed to eliminate number 2. Is there any further discussion on that motion? All in favor? All opposed? You got this? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, so the next item will be, you've got a list of all the different places that we could possibly advertise. Would you take a look at that? It was attached to your agenda. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 items there. The board would like to accept those or add or subtract, but we need to make a decision so that we can get started with the advertising. Mr. Shaw?
The only thought I have is that as you start this process, Ray and Associates, and y'all may find that the League of Cities, the League of Counties, various financial organizations might be worth it. So I don't care where we advertise it. It's more important that we have the opportunity to advertise wherever you all think is appropriate.
Mrs. Andrews and Ms. Brill?
Thank you. And as I look at these, I'm sure there's a cost associated with the advertisements. Do we have any information about any of these particular ones as to their far-reaching effect in recruiting and getting the people to look at this?
Mr. Mitchell? Dr. LaCava?
Since you have experience in recruiting, you're asking for the reach of each advertisement. We don't have the numbers on they reach 50,000 people or what
No,
have
I think it was more the cost. The cost.
Yeah, the cost we have. The cost we have. But I think your question is the reach, if I understood you correctly.
Both.
Pardon me?
Both, the cost and the reach.
And I think the other thing to consider, too, when we're looking at the reach is that this is a very specialized job, and not many of these firms do this all the time, so it would be very challenging to find the reach. But a lot of these people that we have on here right now will probably do a great job, hitting some of those pockets that we need for the internal inspector general.
I can read if you'd like. I can read what we have if you'd like.
Sure. Would you please?
So AASA job bulletin website, $599, emailed to 5,000 plus superintendents, posted for 30 days. Education Week, $395. National Alliance of Black School Educators, $250 to post job listing for 30 days. Association of Latino Administrators, eligible will submit job postings for free for ALAS members. District to post that. Let's see, what else do we have here as far as numbers? Rest of these are free. Association of Inspectors General, Federal Association of Inspectors General, other optional advertising, AASPA, American Association of School Personnel Administrators. What else? Career Builder, set $375 to post, listing for 30 days. That's the information we have available at this time.
Ms. Brill, I think you had your hand up.
Thank you. And so I was hoping that, of course, Ray and Associates would give us guidance, but I do think that we may be missing out on not having some financial periodicals like the Wall Street Journal, where they do have ads like that. So I would ask that you speak with Ray and Associates. They can give guidance. I don't know if the Washington Times and New York Times, I don't know if they're appropriate, but I do think that there are still people that do go to the newspapers, and certainly, I don't know if Financial Times may not be appropriate, but certainly the Wall Street Journal would be.
Ms. Rico?
Thank you.
Just as a point of information, and after having discussions with Ray and Associates over these issues, just to make sure you understand, this is not an exclusive list, a limited list. This was identifying some of those areas of advertisement that we're going to be specific to our knowledge, but they're going to use their wide reach to various publications that they think
So
will
let me
have
ask,
the best
would the board
results.
just give me authority to work with the general counsel and make a decision where they think the best places are to advertise, and we just get it done that way? Dr. Robinson?
And I would add that you work with Mr. Chu, because now in my world, this is very specialized, and I don't mind adding on, but I want to make sure that the professional organizations that IGs are members of are the ones that we reach out to first. Okay.
Mr. Chu?
There are at least 4 groups that we may want to contact. One is the Association of Inspectors General. That would have all the inspectors. And then Association of Local Government Auditors. That would have everybody, auditor and investigator. The third one is Institute of Internal Auditors. That give the certification of CIA that we require in a job description. So this will be the most logical one that will most likely cover most of them.
I move that we authorize the chair and HR to identify the locations for advertisements as they determine needed.
That was seconded by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? Ms. Brill, Ms. Whitfield, did you have it? Okay. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And the next item would be the timeline that was attached. I believe, Mr. Mitchell, this came from Ray and Associates working with you all. That's how we came up with this initial timeline?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to explain anything about this timeline that you all talked about with me?
Well, we tried to coordinate it where we could, obviously, with board meetings that were already scheduled, and with audit meetings. And one of the main drivers here is the length of the posting, of course, and that's a month. So I think that's one of the main drivers of the timeline. Also, allowing for time for any overlap with Mr. Chu to onboard the new Inspector General. Those are the main drivers of the calendar and timeline.
Ms. Brill.
Thank you. And so the length of the posting, of course, is important because this is a bad time of year. I just couldn't see pushing out, ads. It doesn't hurt to post them, but I think some of the ads, like maybe in the periodicals, should wait until after the new year, or run it now and then run it again, because you're not going to run it continuously in periodicals. It doesn't make sense. So I think we just need them to be cognizant of the holidays.
Understood.
All right. The other thing the board should know is of course, we have the audit committee that needs to weigh in. So Mr. Chu's rescheduling the audit committee meeting, so it's going to be a week earlier. So it's going to be before our board meeting in February, so they can weigh in at that point. What we have, I think we'll have a short list, hopefully by then, that they can weigh in on, which the board policy requires us to have input from the audit committee. Okay. All right, so we need a motion to, and of course, this timeline is flexible, so if the motion could just make it so it's flexible so they can be modified without coming back to the board as we need to modify things. Because if we have a whole lot of applicants by the 22nd, January 22nd, then it'd be different than if we only have 3 applicants, because the timeline's going to have to change to give us more time to find more applicants. Ms. Wood?
If you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, so in January, we do not have meetings on the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th, because some of those will be Palm Beach County days. Right. So if the chairman needed to call a meeting, we would have space in the month of January, just for your information.
Okay. Ms. Brill, then Ms. Whitfield.
What, you want to
No,
make
it's
the
okay.
motion? I was just going to move that we accept the timeline with the comments that have been made regarding the holidays.
I agree.
Okay, so let me just clarify, because I don't want to have to come back here and have another meeting on Friday. So if Ray and Associates determines that, no, it's a good time to advertise in the Wall Street Journal during the holidays because people are reading it, you guys okay with whatever Ray and Associates suggests?
Yes.
They're our
That's why
contract.
we're hiring them.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah, we have, in fact, I'm glad you asked, Dr. Ramos. So the contract has been in the last stages of being finalized. We have it all worked out. I just haven't signed it yet. I'll probably either sign it tomorrow or Friday, and as soon as it's signed, it's going to get out to all of you. But basically, I think we attached it today. Is it attached to the agenda? I don't remember. All right, so you'll get it. They're just finalizing the language in it, but it's basically what you saw before, which is some cleanup on stuff, on certain items in there. Mrs. Andrews?
Thank you. So we're giving some flexibility here, but as I look at the meet down here in February to March with the public interviews and so on, I just didn't see anything in here where, as a board, we would have a chance to possibly meet them. Is that something that
Oh, yeah.
work
Yeah,
on?
yes, for sure.
Okay, I just didn't see it in here.
Yeah, that it certainly will have the public interview and the private ones like we had with the candidates from
Okay,
the.
so that's going to be
superintendent.
added in, more meat in here, this area, okay?
All right. So we have a motion? I don't know where we're at on this one. Ms. Whitfield?
I'm just seconding Ms. Brill's motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? You have the motion? Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And I think that's it on.
Barbieri?
Ms.
Can I talk
Whitfield?
about something else, too? I just wanted to ask a question about this memo that we received from the Palm Beach School Administrators Association.
Right.
Are we going to address this now, or should we address it at a future meeting?
We're not really, I've been working with the general counsel's office. Can we do that at a future, but it's certainly a good time to do it before we get the new inspector general in place so we can make some modifications that we've discussed in the past. So if you
We
give us a
shouldn't
little
talk
time, we'll get that back to you all. Ms. Brill?
And I was just going to add that those items that they are asking for are actually things that we've all pretty much agreed on already.
right.
So they will be in the change in our policy.
Ms. McQuinn?
I read those carefully. I don't know that we agreed, we're not getting into it, but, for example, I circled the last bullet as something that I don't think we have agreed to, because I would want to discuss that. Am I allowed to talk about where it says inform principals and/or department heads of the nature of an investigation prior to initiating interviews?
Ms. Rico?
Just with all due respect, the policy issues that were addressed in this letter should really be taken up at a noticed policy discussion, whether it's a workshop or whatever. So I would recommend that we take these as an FYI and have something
And we'll schedule
scheduled.
something as soon as possible so we can get that policy in place before the new inspector general starts if possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Robinson.
And whenever that does come forward, I would like to have, I don't know what the timeline will be, I would like to have a written response from Mr. Chu in terms of these requests and suggestions, instead of just seeing one side, because I don't know, I think there's some confusion, so.
Okay. Mrs. Andrews?
Yes, just a follow-up on that. I was happy that Mr. Chu was sitting here because he could tell us those organizations, and thank you, Dr. Robinson, for reminding us of that. But I would hope that this intimate committee with the Human Resources, Mr. Barbieri, and the General Counsel, that Mr. Chu would be on call, because, I mean, you all could be sitting and working on something, and you may need to know the expertise. He is the one that's sitting in this job right now that is certified. So hopefully you will reach out to him as you move through this whole process and not just make some decisions if you have question marks by it.
Sure. And I've already had some discussions with Mr. Chu on
Thank
this. So
you.
certainly he is part of the process.
Mr. Barbieri, when you have a chance.
Dr. LaCava?
The only thing that we need to bring to the floor is discuss and take action on Inspector General's employment agreement and drop. I don't know if that's something that.
That's next. That's another item on
Great.
there.
Jump in.
Okay, so if we're done with this one, we're going to move on to BRD2. I recommend the board discuss and take action as necessary to extend the Inspector General's exit date of March 30th, 2020 to May 30th, 2020, including but not limited to amending the Inspector General's employment agreement and approving forms to effectuate the drop period extension and authorize the board chair and superintendent to sign the necessary documents. We have a motion? Motion by Ms. Sanders, seconded by Dr. Robinson. So if I just may tell you that I've spoken to Mr. Chu, and it's clear that even though he's in drop, that he could extend the deadline under the statutory provisions to the last day of the school year, which is May 30th. So if it's necessary, if we find it's necessary, Mr. Chu's agreed that he would stay till then if we get someone in place beforehand. He's also agreed tentatively that he would take his accumulated time, which is about 30 days, I understand. He would try and take a lot of that in January and February so that if he does stay on, he has time to work with the new Inspector General. Maybe we could have an overlap for a few weeks so that they can work together and get everything handed over in a nice, orderly fashion. Mr. Chu, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? Okay.
No? Sorry it took you guys so much time just to talk about me.
Good answer.
All right, if there's no discussion on the motion, all in favor? You have a motion, right? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, is there anything else you all would like to discuss that's not approved by this? The general counsel shaking her head no, you can't talk about anything else? Okay. Go ahead, Mrs. Andrews.
Just a point of personal privilege. It's the holiday season, and today I had the opportunity to go to Everglades Prep, and when we think about working together, I had the opportunity to see 3 young men from Pahokee, 2 from Pahokee and 1 from Glades Central, who had had bad experiences with the school district of Palm Beach County, but were embraced at Everglades Prep. And these 3 young men, 2 of them was signed today as a National Signing Day at Everglades Prep. 2 will be going to Syracuse, and 1 is going to Maryland. And when I think about how we should work together with all of our schools to save our children, there are 3 students who were saved by working together with the school district of Palm Beach County and all of our other supporting schools. And so I've asked the communications department through Dr. Fanoy to put their pictures on the website, because those are success stories. I've been to Syracuse as well as Maryland, and it's big time. So congratulations to the students.
And we should just note that in February, we'll honor all the students in the district that have been
Absolutely. This was
signed.
a special event today.
Great. So if there's nothing else, we'll take a motion. Dr.
I apologize, but I just want to make sure that at the chairman's request, I want to bring up that there's a possibility to do an additional background check on whichever candidate we choose above and beyond Ray and Associates. It's about $150, and we would conduct that. So I just want to make sure that I don't know how you guys want to put that on the floor, but.
Motion by Ms. McQuinn, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield.
For the shortlisted candidates,
For
right?
the shortlisted candidates. This is a motion for the shortlisted candidates, Ms. McQuinn? Not for all the candidates, just the shortlisted candidates?
Right, just a short list.
Okay. And Ms. Brewer, you okay with that? Okay, or Ms. Whitfield, I guess you second it. All in favor? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. We have a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Sanders, second by Mr. Shaw. All in favor, all opposed, motion carries 7-0. Meeting adjourned, and this is the last meeting of this calendar year. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you.